Actually, let's welcome in Alex, one of the guests that you had just mentioned. Alex, welcome to the Greg Carrasco Show.
Hey, Alex.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Hey, Greg, how are you?
I'm not good, and I'll tell you why I'm not good. I got up pretty early this morning, and I read your heartfelt post on Facebook, and the reason why I follow you is because I have a tremendous amount of respect for you and for what you do and for what you stand. And what you wrote this morning, it hit me hard, and I'll tell you why it hit me hard. Whenever the government takes on the responsibility of making the decisions for the population by and large, it's when you need to start questioning what the motives are. And I think that a lot of these health decisions have been politicized, and people like yourself that do nothing other than just contribute and benefit the community have to shut down your businesses for no reason. I felt for you this morning, and after I read it, I said, I need to get Alex on the show, and I'm so happy that you took the time to call in this morning, Alex. Can you tell the listeners here on TSN 1050 who you are and what you do?
So my name's Alex. I own Element CrossFit. We operate in Mississauga, about 1.5 kilometers from, we're in Peel Region, we're about 1.5 kilometers out of Halton Region, which is not affected by these closures. And we've been operating for 12 years. With the first shutdown, I think just like everyone else, we were totally on board. We're doing this for the greater health of, every single person being a good citizen. And now this time around, it just seemed like they kept talking about how they Ford was saying this just this week, how they're not going to close without data. Show me the data. And all of a sudden yesterday they spring this on us, closing us with no data, no reasons given. They just, targeted the restaurant and the gym industries. To me, the frustrating part is what world do we live in where the government's able to close industries, put over 60,000 people out of work on Thanksgiving weekend without giving rational explanation, fact-based data reasons for doing so.
And this is going to have a severe effect on your business. How are you able to sustain and to stay operational and viable through this times, Alex? My other good friend, Dennis Dorosha, who owns Full Metal CrossFit down on Dixie and Eglinton, is going through the exact same situation. How are you dealing with this right now?
We're really lucky, and we're more blessed than most. Through the first shutdown, we kept about 80% of our members as we pivoted to doing online training and personal customization of workout plans. We lent out our equipment. We just basically pivoted and just tried to do whatever we could, and most of our members stuck with us. We're lucky in that fact that, a CrossFit gym has a really big sense of community, and most people realize that they needed to stay with us and support us, and, by paying their fees to make sure that we came out the other side of this and still existed as a business. What frustrates me is that there's a lot of other businesses, independent fitness and restaurant industries that don't have that same benefit. And my frustration's for them because the independent fitness and independent restaurant world is really a larger part of the economy than people think. And there's a lot of people that are going to be absolutely ruined by this. I'm lucky to have, again, a great community and a great team, but not everyone has it. There's a lot of independent owner-operators doing this whole thing by themselves, and I can't even begin to imagine how they're going to handle a second shutdown in just 6 months.
So, this is a utopia. You run for office, you get elected, you are an elected official, Alex. How would you have handled the situation?
I think you just need to look first at what each region actually needs and where the actual outbreaks are coming from and address it that way. I think this whole idea that the only way that we're going to get out of this is through severe government intervention and just large-scale shutdowns of industries based on the category that they fall in is totally misguided and is just the lazy way out. And what I mean by that is if you're looking at the guidelines, what they gave to reopen, we were operating well above what the government gave in terms of guidelines because they didn't have industry-specific guidelines to run. They just had numbers. You need to put this many people in a room. I don't think that's enough. And if they want to actually, I think what I wrote in my rant this morning is the goal of the government in that whole shutdown to buy time, to study the virus, to do all those kinds of things should have been to find ways to operate and coexist during the pandemic and make sure that we are able to keep working with some reasonable restrictions in place and not have to shut down. And I think that's the one big thing that they missed, and that's the one thing that I would do. And I think that any person, especially if they own a business, they're totally on board. No one here wants to run a business and spread COVID and have people die and have it spread to at-risk populations. No one's asking for that. Everyone's just asking for help us operate despite the pandemic, and no one's doing that.
One of the things that you said this morning on what you wrote was that the government had one job, which was to figure out how to deal with this so we didn't have to go through it again. And like I said to Ken earlier, just because of a bunch of irresponsible idiots that we have some outbreaks out, around the city. And I don't know why the city of Brampton keeps coming up on this, Ken. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like Brampton is a different country these days. They're just partying life away. And the outbreaks seem to be centralized in certain areas, and I don't think the government is taking enough action against those specific outbreaks. And in the process, we are punishing the business community, and the business community is suffering right now. And, Alex, what scares me more than anything is that, I come from Chile. We came out of a communist regime. We went into a military dictatorship, and whenever you are living off of subsidies, you see, there is a giant misunderstanding. The government doesn't have money. The government is not an enterprise. The government does not generate revenue. The government is a revenue redistribution system. So in order for them to pay for anything, they have to take it away from someone first. And, the problem with this is that at some point we are going to run out of other people's monies to pay for these subsidies. And we as a society are going to end up paying a tremendous amount of tax burden that a lot of people are not taking into consideration. Why? Because there is a very small number of people that are the industrious ones, the ones that are producing the income, the ones that are producing the revenue. And those are the very people that are getting affected by this shutdown. Would you agree with that?
100%. And the thing is, most entrepreneurs that I've talked to, no one wants money from the government. We're taking it because we need it, but none of us want money. We'll work to make our money. But the problem is you're not letting us work, and you're not even giving us guidelines in which to do it. You're just saying, we've got to shut down. Here's some money. And don't worry, you'll be fine. Don't complain. And the thing is, all these other people just calling for outright shutdowns, you can totally tell are people who are typically, paid by the government and don't understand what it's like to actually be revenue generating in terms of what you do on a day-to-day basis. And the thing is, you need to understand where these people are coming from, because I think a lot of people underestimate how many people the entrepreneurial sector employs.
It's a tremendous number of people. Look at us at Oakville Nissan and Oakville Infinity. We employed over 100 people. That's 100 families that we provide, income for them to pay the bills and to actually feed their families. And these are the people that are going to be affected. Now, to be honest with you, I find myself lost these days. This whole pandemic, this whole elections, this whole shutdown, this whole irresponsible behavior is making me lose a tremendous amount of faith in society. And, I wanted to tell you this morning, Alex, that I feel for you guys. And, just like we are in the fitness industry, every single martial arts school is shutting down in Peel as well, is it not?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everything has to shut down. I mean, again, this is the other frustration, as they said, gyms and fitness centers, but there's a whole bunch of, legalese that comes out when they actually pass the legislation, and they're going to pass it, they're going to post it on the website a day or two later. So I'm assuming they're going to be closed as well, but some places get to be open as training centers. It's still so murky again.
So why is it that gyms are closed and not churches?
And that's exactly the thing. If this thing is actually about stopping the spread, as they say, you would think any sort of place where people are gathering. Why can I go to a shopping mall but not go work out? What are the defining differences here? And again, this is where the data comes in. Again, I don't think anyone here is looking to say we want to operate despite overwhelming evidence that this is dangerous. It's the fact that there's no evidence, and when things aren't, I think it's just earlier this week, Mayor Bonnie Crombie was saying that the spread of COVID-19 in Mississauga isn't coming from gyms and restaurants. It's coming from workplaces, banquet halls, weddings, private social gatherings. So she said exactly where it's coming from. They're tracing it back there, but what did they do about those things?
Nothing. They
absolutely nothing. Restricted banquet halls a little bit, but they're not doing much with workplaces.
Hey, listen, so long as you're not shutting down a 6th reveal party, then everything is okay, right?
Right? That's exactly it. They're focusing on the real issues.
Alex, I thank you. I thank you for putting that on Facebook this morning. I wanted to speak to you, and I will call you after the show is over so we can talk a little bit more and see how you can come on the show a little bit more often and talk about this. But that is Alex Siberian, everybody. He is the owner of Element CrossFit in Mississauga. It's a good friend of mine. Alex, thank you so much, and good luck with this, man. I really appreciate you calling the show.
You're very welcome.